Good morning, all. I sincerely hope you are all doing very well. Today, we talk about how you can plan your business to get out of the owner's trap. Because you see, you cannot really scale up or grow your business effectively while you're still trapped inside your business. Now, I'll explain that in a moment. There is one thing that we potentially all have in common, and that is that you own a business or maybe work in your family-owned business. Now, think a little about the reasons why you started that business. There can be a lot of reasons to start a business, but I think the common denominator is that we are all looking for some freedom in our lives. Perhaps you plan to sell the business, or maybe you want to scale the business, which means you want to increase the service or product offering to the client or increase your footprint in the market. In other words, finding more clients, especially clients from a different market than what you are servicing now. This, unfortunately, gets harder and harder as we go along. We struggle to free ourselves from the day-to-day operational activities. What would freedom mean to us? If we are less stuck in the business, we can focus on scaling or growing the business beyond ourselves. The ability to scale, plus the fact that we are not stuck in the business, will mean we build a more valuable business that we can sell if we choose to. Ultimately, not being involved in the day-to-day operations, but more a shareholder in the business. For example, holding on to the equity or the shares in the business, but appoint a manager to run the business. Unfortunately, it is a lot easier said than done. So what does it mean to be in the owner's trap? It means that you, the owner, does all the selling. It might be that you are the subject matter expert. In other words, you are the plumber who does all the work in your business, and you know more about your industry than anyone else working for you. That naturally leads to the customer trusting you and wanting to deal with you and you only. So what do? We keep thinking about other offerings, services, and products, or different forms of our current offering. Because why not? If we're doing so well right now, why not extend our services to another or a different market, giving them what they need or want? Soon this leads to us offering many different products to few customers. And the problem with that is that you are the only one able to deliver this broad set of products. You are the only one with the expertise, and that your staff are unable to do what you do and to deliver to the client. Soon you find yourself being the rainmaker for the business. The cycle continues, and before you know it, you are caught in the owner's trap. And you know this if your business slows down when you're not around, on vacation, being ill, or taking a few days for yourself. When the customer only wants to speak to you when something goes wrong, or when your income or revenue has reached its limit. I'd like to show you a strategy to get yourself out of the owner's trap. So let me explain this with a real life story. One of the best examples of a company that has reduced its reliance on a few customers is called Basecamp. It's formerly called 37 Signals. Now, Jason Fried, he's the co-founder of 37 Signals, is telling the story of his business. 37 Signals was just another web design shop that would have scored very low on the Switzerland structure. Now, here's a side note. The Switzerland structure is a benchmark tool used to identify the level of the owner's trap or the value of the business. Now, because they were deeply reliant on a handful of large enterprise customers, 37 Signals were trapped in the owner's trap. Now, a small number of customers. He's got a small number of customers with big pockets. In part because he hated bowing down to his big clients, Fred started playing with a project management software he could sell to small companies. And soon after the company, Basecamp, was born, Fred stopped selling custom web design projects to focus exclusively on Basecamp, which has grown to 15 million users, each of whom pay around $20 a month. Clearly, Fred no longer has a customer concentration issue. Now, he said, so he's saying, people. You're in a consulting business, you have to say yes to big clients who end up telling you what to do. You become beholden to the giant corporation who's paying you $60,000 for a project. I love the feeling of control I have now. We build the best products we can for tens of thousands of customers. Now, what he's saying is that he's charging a heck of a lot less per client, but now he can have millions of clients paying him little money. And at the end, that is big money in his pocket. It's a simple multiplication calculation. Now, I want to explain to you the impact of the owner's trap on the value of your business. But before I can do that, I need to explain to you how business valuation works. Now, there are 4 ways that a business can be valued. You can work off the basis of what the assets of the business is worth. The cars, the property, machinery, and tools. And then you add a little bit of goodwill, which is the assumption of what that assets can do for the business, how much it influences the sale or income or then revenue of the business. Goodwill is normally a percentage or an assumption of potential income. Another way of calculating the value of the business is to look at the cash flow of the business. Now, cash flow is not the money in the bank, but rather the movement of money through the business. In financial terms, there's something called the cash flow statement. And on that statement, there are 3 ways that could potentially bring in the money or expense the money. It could be operational activities, which is a core business of the business. In other words, the plumbing work and products you're selling. Or it could be financial activities. That's typically a loan from the bank. And as an outflow of money, the payments you're making towards that loan that you are paying back. The last way that money can flow in or out the business is by means of investment activities. Now, that is when you buy shares into another business. That will be money flowing out, of course. Or when an investor is putting money into the business, which of course is money coming into the business. Now, a cash flow statement, which is showing the movement of cash, is valuable because it shows how the business owner or manager is dealing with cash. It explains if the business is actually healthy or not. It will be healthy if operational activities are bringing in the biggest percentage of income or revenue. You should see the red lights coming on if financial activities are the biggest contributor to money coming into the business. So a discounted cash flow valuation means that the handling of the flow of cash in the business is the deciding factor of what the business is worth. Then there's the method of the specific industry or where the business operates in. The type of business determines the value of the business. And then there is the most common way of a multiple of earnings. That means the income or revenue over a 12-month period of the business is being multiplied with a number that's being determined by certain criteria, which I will share with you in a moment. In other words, if your business brings in 1 million over a 12-month period, that 1 million is being multiplied by a given number or a digit, and that determines the value of the business. Now, I want to show you this. Here is the criteria that determines the number or digit by which the annual revenue are being multiplied with. It could be, I know each of my customers by first name, or I know most of my customers by first name, and they usually want to deal with me rather than with my people. I know some of my customers by first name. I don't know my customers personally and really get involved in serving an individual customer. Now, this criteria measures you as the owner of the business, your relationship with a client of the business. If you are your business, no one else can really operate your business because they would need you. So if they want to buy your business, they will need to buy you with it. So one end of the spectrum is you know every customer, and the other side is where you work with millions like Jason Fried from Basecamp and hardly get involved in servicing the client. Now, this sounds a little difficult for a small plumbing business, right? But in essence, the secret is to structure your business so you are not the first point of call. In other words, you can step away from your business for a few days and the business will continue as usual. This is why I want to share the strategy for getting yourself out of the owner's trap. But before I share that, though, I want to just explore the philosophy behind it. You will know you have escaped the owner's trap if you can confirm that your product or service classify as teachable, valuable, and repeatable. So let me explain it. Can your service or product can your service or product offering and the after sales of your product be easily taught to others? If your core service requires a PhD or some equivalent level of expertise, then it might not be easily taught to other people or other employees in the business. However, if you can pull someone off the street and within a few months of training and coaching, they will be able to deliver on your product or service, then your score on Teachable goes up. How valuable is your product or service to the marketplace? Or is your product or service just a commodity? A valuable product or service is different in a way that customers will pay a premium price for it. High-end consulting services is an expert service which could be something that the customer value because not many people can do what the expert does. However, Joe's plumbing services could score low because there are 20 other plumbers in town who can deliver on that same service. Now, although plumbing is something everybody needs at some point in time, if Joe's offering is not unique, it's not valued very high. Now you might think that I'm contradicting myself here. Teachable and valuable is fighting each other, and therefore striking a balance between the two is important. And there are ways to make the two work together well, and we'll get to that in a moment. Finally, on the scalability trifecta, you need to determine whether your product or service is repeatable. A wedding planner will most probably see a customer only once to plan that wedding of a lifetime. Unless you're like my husband, Charlie, I'm wife number 3, talking about third time lucky. Anyway, something like a wedding planner will score low on the repeatable scale. Something like a gym membership is something people pay over a number of months, and hopefully after the year, they will renew their membership for another year. Now that will have a high score on repeatable. So as an example, a photography business can be typically stuck in the owner's trap. Customers hiring the owner and not the product. If you have children, you'll understand how valuable photos of your children are. Looking at the system involved in taking those photos, it's rather easy to implement. You put the short people in the front and you put the tall people in the back. Each easy to teach and develop a system. It's getting them in and out in 8 minutes. If we look at value, it's not only from a parent's point of view, but also the headmaster which is the ultimate customer of the 8-minute formula. Repeatability also is essential, as we need these every year, and we as parents want to document our kids' progress. This concept can be expanded to family Christmas photos every year, can be done quick, and it can be valuable. So you can look at your own business and rate your products or services based on the criteria of your own products and services. Now, I'll explain this concept by means of our sample business that has 4 products. The photographer. He does weddings and sport teams and corporates and school photos. Now, this is how they have rated their products in terms of teachable, valuable, and repeatable, a score out of 10. So you'll see that in Teachable, they'll say corporate events, it's difficult to teach, we'll give it a 3. But it's very valuable, so we'll give it a 9. It's repeatable to some sense, so we can give it a 6. But if you look at school photos, it's easy to teach, it's very valuable, and you can continuously repeat it over and over again. The school photos has rated highest in total, and therefore could be classified as the core product or service that will rev up the value of the business and will help the owner escape the owner's trap. So let's look at how that looks visually on a graph. If you have a team and you want to involve them, this is easier to include them in the following analysis. Now, there you have weddings. It's very valuable, somewhat teachable. Baseball teams, which is sport events, it's maybe not that valuable. It's pretty much teachable. Corporate events sits there somewhere high up on valuable, not so much teachable. And right there is the school photos. Now, the y-axis is the valuability of the service, and the x-axis is the teachability, and it grows from left to right. Now, eliminate the products based on repeatability, as this is the third criteria. We're now looking only at the valuability and the teachability. Now, remember, you want to strike a balance between valuable and teachable. Only the products or services that is repeatable will make it to this stage of your planning, of your graph. So if you look there, your services is right there, this balance between valuable and teachable. Now, if we look at a typical plumbing business, what we can potentially see as teachable could be the process of servicing a client. And we'll map, and any well-mapped process can be taught. And you can easily employ a qualified plumber and train him or her to follow your process. There's a lot of sustainable quality in a well-formulated process, and therefore a lot of value in it for the client, because they know whenever they call you for a fix-up, your service delivery is always the same and of high quality. Combine that now with a maintenance plan or continuous service offering that could pass as a repeatable business or recurring income, then you have a winning formula. Yep, not as easy as it seems, but this is the formula. I can't give you the answer you need to go, but you need to go think of the best way of making your service or product offering teachable, valuable, and repeatable. And then you will have a winning product or service that will make you different from the next plumber and will help you move away from being a commodity, and even more importantly, away from the owner's trap. So is there any questions? Not sure if anybody wants to ask something.
There currently aren't any questions. But thank you very much for joining us this morning, Linda. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for also joining us. Is there any last minute things you'd like to add before we end off?
I just want to remind everybody that they're welcome to give me a call, send me a WhatsApp, send me an email if you need any more information or if you want to learn a little bit more about my service offering.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, Linda. And then once again, thanks, ladies and gentlemen.